Hey everyone, Amanda Smith here with Julia Morales. Thank you so much for making time to join me on the show today.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thanks for having me. I actually did a little research on you whenever, Lana Rizzo and Sophia Minard, like these are women that I love following and I love being around. And I saw them pop up on your podcast and your show. And I was like, look at these girls go. I love this. And I love what you're doing. So when you reached out, I was more than willing to jump on.
Yeah, little did you know that just a few moments later I was going to
Right.
slide into your DMs. You're like, oh, weird timing.
No, I loved it. I love it. It's good to be here.
You have this fun little bobblehead collection going on behind you. Which one is your favorite if you had to choose?
So that's a really hard question. I actually get it a lot, but there's some classics that I wish I don't want to like leave the room and grab them because they're in special places. But
Got it.
there's an Orbit that's dressed up in an astronaut uniform that I'm obsessed with. I think it's the coolest bobblehead on the planet. There's also a George Strait bobblehead that I find very cool, and Jimmy Wynn. Jimmy Wynn's like one of my favorite bobbleheads to have. The Astros did a few of them over the years, but there's one that in particular that I really like. This is like, when you cover a team and you travel all over and you go to all the different ballparks, sometimes you just happen to land on Bubblehead Day at other places. So they don't really have like a specific meaning, or I wasn't a fan, I didn't wait in line, but like it is really cool over the years, like who you end up with. And so I've kept them. There's also like Jordan Ventura, who passed away, that I happened to be in town for one of the years that he was pitching really well. And so anyway, it's just like, it's really cool, the collection that I've created kind of on accident. And of course, all the Astros ones. There's a ton of them up there as well.
When did this whole little trend start? When were you like, oh, this could actually be something that I could display in my home?
That was 2013. So I'm
right
not
when you started?
a collector of anything. Yeah, that was my very first year. I don't collect anything in life. Like I get rid of things. I don't like stuff, right? And so then in 2013, I was just coming across these things in the Astros. I'm obviously there every game, so I'm there for every bobblehead day. And then I've had a bunch of them. Like, gosh, what am I going to do with these? Are going to collect dust. But then I found them to be really cool. And then, it's like the years would go on and you'd look back at the ones that you had. And it was like, there's a Colby Rasmus one that I like a lot too. And Astros fans will remember this in 2015 when they went to the playoffs for the first time in 10 years, really big deal. Colby Rasmus kind of lost his mind, took his shirt off in the celebration, the champagne. He had his goggles, and people, dressed their kids up as him for Christmas that year because they just found that, that scene, that visual of him being like his crazy curly hair and his goggles and no shirt. And they found that to be really funny. Well, that turned into a bobblehead. So it's like moments that I'm actually a part of that turn into bobblehead that I find really cool. Honestly, my ultimate goal now is to get my own bobblehead, like Alana rocking her own bobblehead. I'm so jealous of. So yes, let's work on that. Start a petition or something. Like, how do I get one?
I can help you with this. I will definitely sign it and promote it and get I'll just walk around with a little paper. Will you sign this petition for Julia's bobblehead?
So cool. It would be so cool. I know Alex Curry has one in Anaheim as well, and I'm just super jealous. So, life goals right there.
Your time is coming. Fret not.
Thank you.
So you've been with the Astros since 2013, but you have said that you always knew you wanted to be a journalist since you were like 10 years old, and you saw the media circus that surrounded your dad, Victor Morales, when he ran for the U.S. Senate. But at what point did you kind of realize, I want to actually pursue a career in sports?
So it's a really good question because it's a story that I like to tell, especially to young kids, to girls that are, have no idea what they want to do with their life. But, I was a little girl, I was not a woman yet when I wanted to be a reporter. I wanted to be on TV. And so my dream was just being on TV at that time because I didn't know much else. I found that life of like the 3, 2, 1 red light in your face, all of a sudden you're live, to be so cool. So it was the entertainment side of things. I danced. I grew up dancing. My aunt had a dance studio. My brother's, who's now in entertainment. We grew up in a house that our parents kind of just like turned on the camera, like, well, you got kids, like, entertain us. And so we would make up dances and skits and things throughout our lives. So it was just like kind of what we knew and what we loved doing. So I wanted to do that. Now, at the time I I wasn't watching a lot of TV, to be completely honest. People are like, I grew up watching this broadcaster or these sports. We were so involved in sports and in other things that we didn't watch a lot of TV. And so when I went to high school, learned how to edit at school, went to a small school, so there wasn't, a lot for me to learn as far as journalism goes. When I went to college, and I ended up at UT, so I went to Kilgore College first, a junior college, because I wanted to dance. Ended up transferring. That's when I got into a journalism program, and it was the internships, to be completely honest. And at college, I danced for that school as well. So Texas Pom, the girls in the chats, for those of you who are Texas fans or kind of know what that is. I mean, we call ourselves that because it's very recognizable, our outfits that we wear, but it's a dance team. And I was there in 2005 when the Longhorns won the national championship. So as you can imagine, media everywhere, sports reporters everywhere. There's, a lot of attention on the number one team in the country. And so I remember seeing women down there holding microphones, and I'm like, wait, how did they get to be on the field? Like, what are they doing down here? So it was my proximity to it and kind of seeing it then, starting to watch it again. Like, I'm not watching because I'm at the game. So I'm not picking up on the fact that women can be in sports just yet until my internship started. There was a woman, she was a weekend sports anchor at the CBS affiliate in Austin. And I give her a ton of credit because when I got that internship and I saw her in that job and in that chair and in that office, I'm like, hold up, that's what I want to do. Like, the world stopped, and I was like, why would I cover car crashes and all these, like terrible things every day when I could cover sports, what I really love as a person. It's just, I grew up in sports and it's just what we did. So putting it all together, it was kind of like this explosion of like, oh my gosh, now what? And I only had about a year and a half left. So I did a couple of internships with that TV station, really just studied hard, started to research the other women. I think Erin Andrews was popping up on TV about that time to be a sideline reporter, which was like, wait, she's on a network? Like, all of this was mind blowing. And so I put my reel together at UT. I threw it out there to as many TV stations as I possibly could, not just in Texas, but I happened to be lucky enough to stay in Texas for that first couple of jobs. I made no money and did the whole, like, carry your own camera, shoot your own stuff, and edit your own stuff. I did all of it. But it was just like the second that I realized you could do it, it was like, that's what I'm doing. And that's what I did. And here I am. I never really looked back and never really thought twice about, like, should I be doing this, or why would I do this? It was just exactly what I wanted to do. So here I am all these years later, still doing it. And it's really cool to see so many other women in there, but it's also cool for me to share that, with other people, that it's a job, it's like, we're out here, we're doing this, and we're very successful at it, and you can too. So I think that's important for us.
Through all of your experiences, what drew you to baseball?
So baseball was one of the sports I loved. And I go back to the fact that I did not watch games religiously, but we were Rangers fans growing up close to Dallas. They obviously were a good offensive team in the years I grew up. I mean, to be completely honest, we were Cowboys fans in the household because the Cowboys were winning when I was growing up. And that's just, you watched football, you went to football games on Friday nights, went to football games on Saturday nights. And then we, sometimes we'd get out to the ballpark. But my love for baseball, like the true pure love that I have now, started when I was in Austin. I was a sports reporter there. So I'd covered baseball games and baseball teams up until this point. But when I got into Austin, the Round Rock Express were there, the AAA affiliate for the Rangers at the time were there. And they needed someone that summer to be more of a beat reporter, to go out there every day. And it's a hard job because there's, long road trips for the minor league team, and they wanted me to get a lot of content and save it and be able to turn it when the team was on the road. So, the team changes a lot when it's in AAA. There's a lot of guys coming down from the majors doing rehab. There's a lot of guys who are very angry to just be in AAA. It was a very interesting environment. And so I grew a lot, and I learned a lot about the rules. I got really close with a coach there, one of the pitching coaches, and he was really helpful, answered a lot of my questions. I just had a good staff, and it was a good group of people around me to help teach me the game, the real game. And then games inside the games, it's like the minors is just a whole different ball game than the majors. So I kind of learned it inside out, and then covering that so closely. I'm covering the major league team as well. When the Rangers went to the playoffs, I got to follow along, and I found that sport to be so beautiful, and it was just a really cool thing to be around. So the Astros job popped up 2 years after doing this, a lot of it. And it's just kind of perfect timing. I mean, I can't stress that enough. It wasn't like I wanted to be a baseball reporter. It wasn't like that wasn't in my head. It was just that job happened to pop up. I happened to be doing a lot of baseball, threw my name in the hat. They gave me a shot. Like, it's like, what if they hadn't? There's just so many things in life, you're like, well, how did that work out so perfectly? And it really did. Now, when I got to Houston, it was the worst team in the world that I was covering, but I was ready for it, and I was ready to learn it on a major league level and cover them every day. And there were challenges. Don't get me wrong, there was a lot of challenges to start, but thank God I stuck with it, because I just saw them go from the worst to the best in over a few years, and now covering one of the best teams to be around.
To have kind of watched that progression of the team, what are some of the moments that stand out to you most in your time there?
The beginning does stand out. It's like a lot of it, I feel like I tried to black out some of the bad days as far as just like, there were really long stretches of losses. It was just loss after loss, but there were some really good times in there, because if you think about it, it's a lot of first time for, a lot of first hits, a lot of first strikeouts, a lot of first wins. And we celebrated it like you wouldn't believe, because we had to. It's all we had. And so for Jose Altuve to go from just a guy on the team to, in 2014, going for a batting title, I mean, we didn't have any other stories to cover. So we were all in on Altuve every day, just to see if he was going to keep that batting average to where it needed to be, all the way to the last day of the season. It just kind of kept us going. Turns out that run for him in 2014 would catapult him and turn him into an AL MVP a few years later. So, I always look back. I always look back at some of those moments and some of those games that we had, and some of the tough times too. It was like they lost 15 straight games to end 2013. We could not get out of that season fast enough, and all of it made us stronger. So, quick moments. Mike Firestone on a no-hitter in 2015 at Minute Maid Park was really kind of like, oh my gosh, this team is something special. They're winning some games. They no-hit the Dodgers, which was really, really cool for the Astros, a team they don't really get to play a lot. It seemed like a really good team. They were a really good team, still are a good team. But that seemed like a really big deal at the time. Then getting to the postseason, as I mentioned, with Colby Rasmus going nuts, just the celebration that day, like the pure joy, and some of those guys going for the most of those guys going for the first time, Springer, Correa, Lance McCullers, Altuve, all of them getting their first taste of the playoffs. And then, 17 through now, it's so hard to just pick. It seems like every day they were doing something historic or really cool. I will never, ever, ever forget the parade as long as I live. That's not just like one of my coolest career moments. That's like one of my coolest life moments, especially all that we've gone through with Harvey here in Houston, and seeing those streets filled with people in orange and people crying, and the signs that they had made that said, it's just, we beat Harvey and we beat the Dodgers. I mean, it's just like the cool things that I remember along the way. Here in 2019, they won 107 regular season games. What? And then covering Justin Verlander's no-hitter after, we'd talked so much about him being so close, and he's obviously really good at this point in his career, and pitching very strong, but like getting it and us being there, and I'm witnessing with with him and standing there for the walk-off interview. And it's just like, he's such an intense guy, and so, he doesn't just kind of lose it ever, but he kind of lost it in like a giggly, oh my gosh, that really happened, and stuff like that I will just never forget. And I'm just so grateful to be so close to it, because it's really, really special. And we don't know how long this stretch will last, but we're definitely enjoying it right now.
I know that a lot of young broadcasters, shout out to y'all, watch my little podcast show here. And so now they see you as the Astros reporter, but I feel like in this career, just in general, there can be a lot of inconsistencies, especially early on when you're just starting out. Were there ever any moments where you sort of had to push past those feelings of confusion?
That's a good question. I talk about the beginning of my career, and I'm not really thinking like, is this not for me or not? I never really had that. I was just so strong-willed, and like, I'm here. This is what I'm doing. Like, it's like, what was I thinking? Like, why wasn't I a little more like, what's going on here? Why?
That's a great
thing.
thing.
I think this is a good idea? will I keep finding more jobs? I mean, I felt so lucky to get that very first one. And then it was like, then you had to find another one. You can't stay there forever. I mean, $15,000 that first job. It's like, how long are you going to keep this up, Julia? You can't pay for anything. You're starving. Like, you got to get out of here. So, just lucky enough to keep it going. It's just, no, I mean, the job that I'm in now, there were challenges, and I think about just the amount of games that we have to work and the travel schedule and how hard this job really is that we're doing, the sacrifices that we make. Yeah, I mean, there are times where I think about it and I'm just like, this is either hard. Can I sustain this? Family life, personal life, it's like I could get really deep into all that. But I love it that much. I think it's worth it. And I've just kind of powered through all the things that maybe weren't perfect or I didn't like about it. But yeah, no, I've just found to get into a really good groove. It's why, I mean, it's rare. I know you've talked to a couple of baseball reporters who've been in the gig for a while now. That was not the case, say 5 years ago. People were kind of just in and out of jobs 1 year here, 1 year there, moving on. What's the next thing? We've all, the ones you talked to, we found a good balance. And then, being able to do it year after year, you find yourself in a really good home. Like all of a sudden you've made a home, and that's a little scary too. Cause we were always told like, what's the next big thing? Where are you going? I mean, you got to keep going up and up and up, but like, why can't we just stay and really build something special and build something with the fans and have a relationship? And for me, like, now I'm just going on a tangent now. This is what I do for a living.
I love it.
But it's like you plant yourself. I'm starting to do charity now, and you can't do that when you're bouncing from one city to the next, and I've really been able to reach out in the community. And like I said, Harvey doesn't mean much to someone who's in and out in a year. It means something to me who, lives here and has a home here and was freaking out just as much as everyone else about water being in my house. So, I mean, all of that. And I think all of that fans can relate to, viewers can relate to. And so we're all in this together. And I think that's really special. So, yeah, is this a hard job at times? And are there crazy things along the way that I find hard? Yeah, all of it. But like, I don't know. It's just, there's so many wonderful parts of this job, and I've really found I'm really lucky. And I think that's what keeps people in these jobs is that we find a way to make it last and to make it our own, and to find a way to be happy through all the craziness that is being a woman in sports and having a job in sports, I would say for sure.
I've got to ask you the meaning behind your shirt. For those listening and not watching, it says, she doesn't ask questions during ball games. She answers them. Where did you get that?
So this is Baseballism, which I love, and I go visit them every time. They have a really cool store. I don't even know how many stores they have now. They've like exploded, but they have teamed up with teams now. So you can actually, there's one in Boston right by Fenway. There's the one, this was one, this store I always go to, AT&T Park. We don't play the Giants. I say we. The Astros don't play the Giants all the time, but we obviously stay right there when we play the A's. And so I always pop in. So the shirt, like, it kind of makes sense for us because, it's like we do answer them on TV. Like, I don't know. It's like, it's for the fan, like for the female fan that loves the game, to sit in the games and can tell you, keep score. But I'm like, I actually do ask questions. Like, that's what I find it funny, because I'm like, okay, I answer them on, I'm like, I do both. I answer, but I also ask questions to the players. So that's why I find the shirt really funny and unique to us. But yes, right. I do like this shirt. I like it. There's more shirts for us. I find a lot of them now, and I'm just like, yes. Like, there's a whole, and it's not pink. I mean, I can't handle the pink stuff. And so when somebody makes like a legit shirt, I'm like, yes, thank you.
Next thing you know, your bobblehead is also popping up in those stores. Okay. I have a lot of faith. Guys, don't go anywhere. Coming up on the other side, Julie and I are playing a quick little game. Yes, it's going to be quick. You'll see why. Stick around. Welcome back inside How She Did It. Still here with Julia Morales, and we are playing a game of 30 seconds. So I will set my timer here for 30 seconds. Okay. We'll try to get through as many questions as possible. And you might be really good, and maybe we'll run out. We'll see.
Oh, no. That means I have to be short. Okay, I'm glad you told me this.
Well, we'll see. Sometimes that's the hardest part.
All right, here we go.
Okay, ready? Oh my gosh, this almost stopped recording. Don't worry, everyone. We're fine. Okay, here we go. 30 seconds. Favorite ballpark food?
Oh, man. You're going to throw that at me. There's a burger at PNC Park that has a Krispy Kreme donut as the buns, and it's got like an egg on it. It's like a breakfast burger. It's so good. I wish I had one right now. Yes.
What would your walk-up song be?
So there's Beyonce Flawless, but like the H-Town part, because we're Houston, there's like a part, the beginning part, or Foxy Lady by Jimi Hendrix.
Okay, coolest field outside of Houston?
T-Mobile, AT&T, Target Field.
Describe orbit in one word.
Furry? I was like green, and I was like furry.
Okay, we're so past 30 seconds, but I'm asking the final three. Weirdest thing you've done for TV?
Eat grasshoppers, wear the Hall of Fame mascot Legends race, get up the whole thing in Oakland. Actually ran the race. Almost broke my back. And let's see, what else have I done? I've done it all. I mean, you name it, anything there is to do. So I've raced the freeze virtually because I couldn't race them side by side. I had to like time myself on the warning track, and then they put us to nuts. What else have I done? I've done it all. I've done it all. You name it. If it's silly at the ballpark, I've done it.
Oh my gosh.
Right there.
Do you have any superstitions?
Not really. I mean, I just have, like, I sound like a player when I say that. I have my routine. Gosh, that's what they always tell me.
Game day routine.
I just said it.
Yeah,
I have my game day routine. Yeah, right. Like, I have to put on makeup, obviously, for the, I like to log. I like to hear, like, that's something I feel like I can't have first pitch happen before I log things that AJ Hinch, the manager, said, or some of the players, just because that's a big part of me being ready and on the spot. We have a great broadcast team, and Todd Callis, our play-by-play guy, is awesome about bringing me in a lot. That also means I have to be ready all the time to give him any information. And so I like to write stuff down because it helps me remember it, and then I can regurgitate it without having to like look through notes and stuff. Okay, there you go. It's the secret of being a sideline reporter right there.
That was a day in the life of a sideline reporter. Thank you all for tuning in. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, last one. Biggest influence on your career?
By my dad. Has to be dad. Dad not only got me, seeing what media was, made me fall in love with it by bringing me around to, his campaign and everything, but he also has the gift of gab. He can talk, he can stand in front of a crowd, he can give motivational speeches, does not have a script, never had a script for any speech he ever gave on the political campaign, and stuck a camera in our face our entire lives and told us to go get him, show me what you got. So here I am. I mean, he made me anchor with him as a little kid. We would make videos at the dining room table. My mom would dress me up in like her big blazers from the 80s with the shoulder pads, and then like put my hair up and put pearls on, and we'd sit and we'd have scripts on the table, on our kitchen table, and we'd toss back and forth to each other. I'm like, yes, Victor. I'd call him by name, and ridiculous. I was 8. So yeah, here I am today. Thanks, Dad.
Thank you, Victor. Now, coming up, here is your traffic report.
Exactly. My brother would do traffic. Oh, we did it all.
Oh, it was a whole family broadcast.
Oh yeah, my brother was in. Oh, he would do weather and show us around. Yeah, we were ridiculous. We still do Christmas videos. Amanda, you have not seen our Christmas video. I'm going to send it to you. Instead of Christmas cards, we do Christmas videos, and we put together, we choreograph dances, have costumes, do a little editing. We have to keep it under a minute thanks to Instagram, but they're pretty funny. I'll send you one.
Okay, perfect. So now I'm on the cool exclusive list, and it's like perfect time that we did this holiday season coming up. I'm on the Christmas card list from the coolest family is what I'm learning.
Yep.
I'm very excited. And maybe some of you will get one too. Coming up, Julia's answering your guys' questions. Stick around. Welcome back inside How She Did It. Still here with Julia Morellis. She has not left yet, and now she's answering some of your questions. So, Jason Shep says, what do you think is the biggest misconception about your job?
Oof. I think a lot of people might see it as a job, or maybe we're just doing the walk-off interview, or her job is just to interview the player after the game or whatnot. I will tell you that we are doing so much more work than that, and that's if you ever have a chance to shadow any one of us, you'll learn very quickly that it's an all-day affair. We're at the ballpark all day and we are working, but we are gathering a lot of information, and not all of it most of it doesn't ever make the broadcast. So what people don't know is that we're helping out our play-by-play guy or analyst with information. My producer and I will talk over things that I've heard and talk to players about during the game. I see all kinds of stuff that I can't say, but it does help with context or things that we can show, not show. I mean, our work, it never stops. And then the fact, the interviews, yeah, we do the interviews, and then we go to the clubhouse and keep interviewing. I mean, there's just so much more. I think that people realize that what we do to help the broadcast and to make it better, we are very, very crucial part of everything, just because we are the eyes and ears. Like when they call us a field reporter, we really are. We're one of the very few that's down there and has the time to be down there. And then traveling is hard, and that is a legit part of our job. And we are in the trenches with the guys all season long. And I don't know if people really understand just how hard that part of our job is as well. We don't sleep.
No.
We drink a lot of red wine too.
Oh, well, that sounds great. It balances out.
That's how you survive.
I don't, but I drink a lot of red wine, so I'm okay.
That's how we survive. Yep.
Okay. Next up, we have Randy McKee. Well, actually, you just kind of talked about this, but maybe you can go into it a little bit deeper. He or she says, "Where do you get your info for your reports? We enjoy your knowledgeable and fun reporting every game."
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, no, it's accumulated over the year, or over the years too. I mean, that's the other perk of being someone that's been around the team for 7 years, is I have all kinds of stuff in my back pocket on when people got to the team, what kind of relationships they built, what they worked on in 2014, and why why they're changing it in 2019, and all of that helps you be a very, very good reporter. That's why I think someone that's been around a long time can be so valuable to the broadcast. And then like I said, day to day, I'm in everyone's ear. I'm asking everyone a lot of questions now, and most of it you'll never hear it in a way that I'm going to stand on camera and hold a microphone and say it, but you'll hear it, whether it's through a graphic that's posted up or something that I did earlier in the game. And maybe it's a conversation that we have later. Maybe it's a question that I end up knowing to ask that player to get that information out of him for the viewers. There's just so many ways you're getting the information that I am trying to gather for you. And it's a lot. There's a lot of moving pieces to all of this, but it's a relationships that is so important in this job. It's hard in the very beginning to have people trust you and to tell you things. And then you start meeting families, you start meeting hitting coaches, their high school teachers, people that know these players and coaches to give you a little more insight and give you a little piece of information that no one else has. And it could be grandparents. I mean, you name it. It's really cool over the years, the people that I've gathered information from, not just the actual player themselves. But yeah, that's how I get some of my info.
How have you built those relationships over time?
It's, that's so key in being, and having success in the industry. And I know it's like that in most industries, but to be the only female that travels with this club, if you think about it, on a charter plane that has 65 people, there is one female, and that happens to be me. And when I first got the job, I was 27 years old, 26 years old, and so young, young and ready to go, lots of energy. And then you're in this world where you don't really have anyone to turn to or talk to. There's no girlfriend to go have a glass of wine with. I became very close with the broadcasters, as Bill Brown, who's a legend in Houston, Alan Ashby, Jeff Blum were so great to just bring me in as part of the family. And so I just quickly became part of the family and part of the team. I'm here to do a job. Started getting to know these guys, really, it's every day I'm around them, but if you're not talking to them every day, you don't really get to know them. So you're missing an opportunity. Now, do I go up to them every single day and bug them like, how are you? What's going on in your life? But no, but when I come across these guys, I don't always have baseball questions. And I think that's where I build the relationships. I want to know about their wives. I want to get to know them. I want to know about their kids. I want to know where they're from. I start figuring out little bits and pieces here and there, and then I can actually put together a story one day, and that goes a long way with them. I don't, they learn to trust me because my questioning, the way I question them, I'm different than your average journalist in that clubhouse. Given that I am a team reporter, we are broadcast partners. I am not out to get guys. I'm not, and the more I can explain that to people, I want to share with them that if there's anything I can do for them to promote their foundation, any events coming up, I am here for you. And I think that really helps, them trust me and then get to know me and then share information that maybe they wouldn't with anyone else and over the years. And so that's where our exclusivity comes in, and that's where we start to have stuff that no one else does, because these guys really do trust me. And I can get some stuff that, again, there's some stuff that I can't share and all that, but in that, it's just building that trust, building that relationship. And it's really, really hard when you have to start watching these guys leave and get traded. I mean, you really do build friendships and relationships. So yeah, it's a great part of the job. Also, one of the tougher parts of the job if you're starting out. It's it's one I preach to the younger girls and guys of jumping in this. It's just stick with it. Not everyone's friendly and ready to bring you in, but you can only be so professional. I mean, you do you, but also good luck. I mean, you just don't know how it's all going to play out. And if you do it the right way, then you can be successful for a very long time.
When you first started your job with the Astros, kind of how you said you're the only woman on a plane filled with 65 plus men, was that at all intimidating for you?
So maybe a little bit in the beginning, just like you look around, you're just like, okay, this is it. And if they were so great. And I will say that the teams that I was covering, I was maybe fortunate in that I eased in with a team that was very young and a lot of guys who were kind of looking around the same way as like, oh my gosh, I'm in the big leagues, because it was that team that was just up and coming. They were constantly calling somebody up. These guys most of them did not make it after that. It's like the way the team was rebuilding, these guys were getting really good opportunities to be on a big league club. So maybe I came in at a really great time to kind of ease me into that, but I never felt uncomfortable. No one ever treated me wrongly. So I'm also very, very lucky in the Astros being just a great organization. And then when the older guys come on the team, or the veterans started showing up, I had already been there, done that. Like, welcome to my world. This is my clubhouse. So, the way I acted and the way I carried myself, I was very comfortable. I was very confident. So when a Carlos Gomez shows up, who's got years of experience, very big personality, like, I'm not about to just meekly walk up to this guy. I'm about to tell him, like, I'm Julia. I'm the sideline reporter. You're going to see me at every game. Welcome to the club. Tell me a little bit about your family and let's get to know each other. So I think it was just, it was a really good time for me to come in, just because I felt like we all kind of grew up together. So no, like overly intimidating, overwhelmed. Like, no, I was honestly overwhelmed by things like the travel, like honestly, that every single day, and the fact that we had to come up with several different angles every single day. It was the amount of work that I went from, it's like you go from having a couple of days off a week to I didn't know when the next day off was going to be. And I was thinking like, okay, it's April, like maybe in July I'm going to have a couple of days off. Getting moved in, finding your way around a new city. I think I ran out of money at some point in the beginning because I couldn't get my bank. I mean, like stuff like that. I think back and it's like, that's the overwhelming part of it. It was never just the pure, like, I'm in a room full of men, because I'd been doing sports years prior and it was mostly men anyway. Just not, the newsrooms weren't full of men, but it was just, when I'd go out and cover sports, it was. So I don't know. And I've always kind of felt comfortable around men. I spoke to a group recently, like a speaking engagement, and they had me out as a guest. And I didn't know much about the group other than it was a breakfast club. And I showed up for a dinner, and they had a huge table, looked like a wedding, just a huge table with a bunch of chairs. I think there was about 75 chairs. Walk in, start meeting people. And then I realized, I'm like, there's not any other women in here. And like, turns out it was an all men's club, that they had breakfast every day. They had people that would come to speak to them, cardiologists, financial advisors, and then they invited me, and they were great. And they really wanted to know about the job, and they really wanted to know what it was like to be a woman in sports, because they have women working in their offices. And it was so cool to me, because it's like, we've come so far. It's like to where I get invited to a dinner like this, and they were really interested in what I had to say, and were very kind and respectful, and I held my own. They were super impressed by the way that I wasn't intimidated. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is what I do every day. Like
this is
this
just my
is what
normal
I
day
do.
to day.
You guys don't scare me. Like what? No, it's just it's really cool to know that we have come that far, and that I'm being invited, and it's like the boys club. It's like I was invited in the boys club. But that's just it goes. It's not just everybody. I worked for that. We go back to what I was saying earlier. Like you have to earn that respect, and people have to know that about you, that you just can hold your own and be very comfortable and confident in whatever your surroundings are. And so, I am pretty confident in saying that.
Last question comes from Alexis Pedraza 93. And she says, I aspire to be like you. Do you have any tips?
Yes. Start studying. And whatever age you are, I'm not talking about like, go make good math grades, which you should if you're in school, obviously, because you can't get a degree without good grades. You can't get into college without, all of it. But I mean,
stay in school.
Sports. Yeah, but like studying sports. So what, I go back to where I didn't watch a whole lot of TV. I didn't watch games. So I knew sports because I played them and was around them, but there's just so much to know about each sport and each athlete. And so the more I wish I would have read more, and I'm in a really good spot now, but I can't ever stop knowing what's going on in the game and what's coming and what's been in the past. And it's all so important for you. So I'm not out here to tell you that guys are going to think that you don't know anything. Like, I think we're kind of past a lot of that. I hope so anyway. It's just part of being good at your job. Like women, men, like we should all be studious and learn these games and learn our past and what came before. So with me, it's like learning the Astros history has been really important. And then, just staying on it, saying who's coming up. And I say that for anyone that's up and coming, just start reading things, start reading box scores, start understanding, just read the language and how things are written. And also just be very adaptable, be very, be ready to adjust. I think that the industry changes faster than we're all ready for all the time. And so one thing I've had to do is just like, okay, what's next? Like, what do I have to be good at next? Twitter? Okay. Instagram? What? No. Facebook? Okay. The social media side of things came along, but also like the way we do live TV. I think sports TV has changed a lot. I think it will keep changing. We're all like cutting the cable now. What does that mean? Well, I know people are going to be watching their sports, but how? Like, we're good right now. What's in 5 years? So, tips to that, just like be ready for anything and be ready to learn more than just one job, because it went from an industry where it seemed like, oh, there's all these jobs now. Like when I first started, it was so competitive, and then it was like all these jobs, and now it seems to be going the other way. And they really want people to be able to do more than one thing. I'm talking shoot, edit, all of that. So yeah, jump in, learn as much as you can, do as many internships as you can if you're at that level, because that really, really helped me. And then I didn't really have any surprises once I got into the industry, because I knew what I was getting myself into. And I had asked a lot of questions. That's my last thing. Ask questions. I mean, there's just no dumb questions. And if people are rude to you for it, forget them. Like, what are we doing? It's just the way of the world. Like, we're all trying to learn. We all want to go somewhere and be somebody, and people should help you. So ask away. Ask me.
Yeah, literally. And I think that goes off of what we were just talking about too. Like, don't feel intimidated to ever ask anything, because like you said, if people are like unkind or rude, whatever, there's like 100 more people who are willing to give you that advice and help. So
for sure,
go for it. Yes, Alexis, rooting for you.
Me too.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. I can't wait to get my Christmas card. My virtual Christmas card.
You're very welcome. It's going to be a link, but yes, you're very welcome.
My virtual link. I'm very excited. I click on it.
No, thanks for having me. This is fun. And the good questions. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Love it.
Yes, good vibes. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in this week. For Julia Morellis, I'm Amanda Smith. We'll catch you next time on How She Did It.